Long ago, before humanity was even a whisper in time, there came another from a planet in the far reaches of our solar system, Nibiru. These beings would be remembered by many names: angels, watchers, even aliens. But they called themselves the Anunnaki. And this is the story of how they shaped humanity's destiny forever. This is the Neglected Nuggets. The collapse of Nibiru. In the outer reaches of the solar system, far beyond the orbit of Pluto, there moved a rogue planet the ancients would one day call Nibiru. It was a world of crimson skies and golden oceans, larger than Earth, with a slow elliptical orbit that brought it close to the Sun only once every 3,600 years. Its people, the Anunnaki, were tall, long-lived and brilliant. They had mastered genetic engineering, interstellar flight, and the shaping of worlds. But brilliance is no shield against entropy. Nibiru was dying. Its core had begun to cool centuries earlier, bleeding heat into the void. Volcanic activity dwindled. The thick atmosphere, once a warm blanket of nitrogen, methane, and trace gases, grew thinner each orbit. Dust storms raged for decades. Crops failed. Cities cracked under thermal stress. The Royal Council, led by King Anu, watched as famine and rioting spread through the lower tiers of society. The greatest scientists, Enki, the master of life sciences, and Enlil, the Lord of Command, proposed a desperate solution. Suspend microscopic gold particles in the upper atmosphere. Gold reflected infrared radiation better than any other element. If they could seed the stratosphere with enough of it, the planet might retain enough heat to survive another few orbits, long enough to find a permanent fix. But Nibiru had almost no gold left. Every gram had been mined centuries ago for circuitry, ornament, and earlier failed atmospheric experiments. Scans of the inner solar system revealed a small blue world rich in the metal. The third planet, teeming with water, life, and untapped veins of gold in its southern continents. King Anu gave the order. A fleet would be sent. The Igigi. The Anunnaki were not a monolithic people. They had ranks and castes. The royal bloodlines, Anu, Enki, Enlil, and their siblings, stood at the apex. Below them were the scientists, engineers, and warriors. At the bottom were the Igigi, smaller, shorter-lived cousins of the Anunnaki, engineered long ago as a servant class on one of Nibiru's moons. They were strong, obedient, and expendable. When the gold expedition was announced, the Igigi were conscripted en masse. Entire colonies were uprooted from their lunar habitats and loaded onto transport ships. They did not resist. Resistance had been bred out of them generations earlier. 200 Igigi were sent ahead to establish the first mining outpost in a region the Anunnaki later called Abzu, the land rich in subsurface gold, now known as Southern Africa. Under the command of Enlil's son, Nana, they built domed habitats, drilled shafts, and began extracting ore. For 40 orbits, 144,000 Earth years, the operation ran smoothly. Gold was refined, powdered, and shipped back to Nibiru in automated drones. The atmospheric seeding began to work. Temperatures stabilized, hope returned. But the Igigi were changing. Living under Earth's lighter gravity, breathing its oxygen-rich air, eating its abundant food, they grew stronger, taller, more restless. They began to question. They began to speak among themselves in the deep mines, in languages the overseers did not fully understand. They remembered stories of freedom from the oldest among them, stories from before the genetic shackles. The rebellion. In the 110th Earth orbit of the mission, the Igigi refused to descend into the shafts. They gathered on the surface, 300 strong now with new generations born on Earth, and sent a message to the orbiting command ship: "We will work no more." Nana was furious. He threatened public executions. The Igigi responded by sabotaging the main refinery. Gold shipments stopped. Back on Nibiru, Enki, ever the pragmatist, argued for negotiation, while his brother Enlil wanted extermination. But this was not a democracy, and King Anu was the supreme leader. Watching from Nibiru through delayed transmissions ordered a genocide. The Anunnaki themselves would never bend to the demands of a lesser species. He would find another solution or perish. Some Anunnaki worked alongside the remaining compliant Igigi, but the Anunnaki were not built for manual labor under Earth's sun. They tired quickly, they grumbled, they began to hate the planet that was supposed to save them. Enki's son, Marduk, retreated to his laboratory in Eridu, the first city built on Earth near the Persian Gulf. He studied the native life forms. Among the primates roaming the savannas, one species stood out, a bipedal creature with a growing brain, dexterous hands, and a social structure. Homo erectus. Enki saw potential. The creation. Marduk's sister, Nin Hersag, the chief medical officer, joined him. Together they began the great experiment. They took over from a female Homo erectus, fertilized them with the sperm of a young Anunnaki volunteer, then edited the resulting embryos. They strengthened the bones, enlarged the cranium, enhanced the larynx for complex speech, and, most critically, removed the genetic blocks that limited the fertility in the Igigi. The first hybrids were born in birthing tanks. They were smaller than Anunnaki, larger than the native primates, with smooth skin, expressive faces, and an innate capacity for language. They called the new beings Adama, those of the earth. The Adama were taught to mine, to farm, to build. They multiplied quickly. Within a few generations, thousands worked the pits where the Igigi once labored. The gold flowed again, in greater quantities than ever. The Igigi, seeing the new workforce, were gradually withdrawn from the mines and reassigned to lighter duties, or in many cases, simply released into the wilds. Some interbred with the Adama. Some vanished into the mountains. Nibiru stabilized, the atmosphere held. The flood. As Nibiru approached its closest pass to the sun, the perihelion that occurred every 3,600 years, its gravitational influence tugged at the inner planets. Combined with an unstable ice sheet on Earth's southern pole, the perturbation triggered a catastrophe. The ice collapsed. Sea levels surged. Massive tsunamis swept the coasts. Rains fell for months. The low-lying mining cities in Abzu and the fertile plains of Eden, the region between the Tigris and Euphrates, were inundated. Most of the Adama workforce perished. The Igigi outposts were destroyed. The Anunnaki retreated to their orbiting ships or to high ground in the mountains of Ararat. When the waters receded, only scattered bands of humans remained, those who had heeded the warnings of Enki, who had built boats or climbed to safety. Enki had foreseen the flood. He had chosen one Adama family, descendants of his own early hybrids, and instructed them in shipbuilding. Their leader, whom history would remember as Ziusudra, or Noah, survived with his kin and pairs of animals. After the deluge, the Anunnaki Council met in the orbiting mothership. Enlil raged that the experiment had failed. The workforce was gone. The mines were flooded. The planet Earth had nearly killed them all. Enki argued that the survivors could repopulate. The Adama were resilient, adaptable, fertile. They had already spread to every continent before the flood. Given time, they would multiply again. Anu made the final decision. The Anunnaki would withdraw most of their presence. A small contingent would remain to guide the rebuilding, teach agriculture, writing, law. The rest would return to Nibiru when the orbit carried them home. But humanity was no longer to be mere slaves. They had proven their worth by surviving the flood. They would be tenants of Earth, watched from afar, occasionally visited when Nibiru returned. The Anunnaki departed, leaving behind ziggurats, star maps, and stories that would echo through millennia. And on the blue planet, the children of the stars looked up at the night sky, feeling in their blood a memory they could not name. A memory of golden gods who came from the deep, saved a dying world, and in saving it, created us. The orbit continues. Nibiru still swings wide and far. Some say it will return. Some say the gold is still needed. Some say the watchers still watch. But that is another story, for another cycle of the heavens.